Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And it is that time of week again where we have to do a campaign update. This is for our campaign that takes place in the Dolmenwood. This is the printed PDF here. I don't believe this is out in actual, like, a bound book yet. I believe that that's going to be coming from Exalted Funeral, Necrotic Gnome, etc. The people that put this stuff out. This is the rule set we're using, the Old School Essentials rule set. Exalted Funeral, Necrotic Gnome. So anyway, yeah, they're going to be, apparently this is being produced for hardback at some point. If you are not caught up with this series, you are welcome to go back and check the playlist. I have all of the previous sessions, the campaign updates, on the playlist. So, let's continue. Where we had left off, our party had taken care of the Rag and Bone Man, the avian bird type humanoid creature that was having the neighborhood children, or the village children, go and get him teeth to bring back to make his voodoo dolls and all this weird shit, you know. We had dispatched him somehow, luckily, through a stroke of genius on the part of our magic user. And we had started to, once we got the children that we had found out to safety, we went back into the entrance to the basement, the catacombs, etc., the cellar, whatever you want to call it, and we started to go to the dungeon part of the tower, and we started to explore that, and we found some disturbing stuff in there, dead rats hanging from ceilings, and all this type of stuff, and when we started off this particular one, we were continuing our quest through the dungeon, and we came across a hallway that started to have a lot of the way the DM described it as the slimy viscera stuff, like from the show Stranger Things, when they go into the Upside Down and all that, with all the gooey shit and all that, basically the stuff that looks like mucus and all that kind of stuff. We start seeing that, and then at some point a huge sphere of like some kind of mushy material, almost clear, starts rolling towards us. And of course we think it's attacking us, and we start trying to hack at it pretty much unsuccessfully. I mean, we're hitting it once in a while, and it basically just runs us over. And as it runs us over, we take damage. And we also have to make a saving throw versus poison, and there's spores coming out of it into the air. So the air isn't particularly good at this point either, because of all the spores that it's putting out and all that. So we're trying to figure out how to defeat this thing, and it continues on the hallway, and it turns out that there's a hallway going around a couple of rooms, with like this master hallway going around, and it turns out, it seems like to us, that this thing is kind of just like on a predetermined path, rolling around like a sentinel, you know. So at one point we continue to try and go around a corner, and then a second one comes, like another sentinel comes from the other direction. So now we got two of these things that are trying to basically run us over, but they seem to be on some type of predetermined path or whatever. But our new moss dwarf, Smodry, played by Stesha, who was playing the feline humanoid character that unfortunately got killed in the last session of the campaign, So the new character that she is playing is a moss dwarf, and his name is Smodry. He found a door to dive into, and some of us followed him in there, and we found a bunch of like mushroom people, like animated mushroom humanoids, fungus people, you know, that of course started to attack us, and there was quite a few of them. I did forget one thing. At the beginning of this session, we were resting somewhere. I can't remember if we were just outside the tower. I think we made a camp or just inside the tower. And we were approached by another group of adventurers that we recognized as, if you go back a few episodes, you'll remember that when we were in the town of Brandonsford, where we all kind of started off at, there was like a rival band of adventurers that were all NPCs. And they seemed to be basically doing the same quests that we're, to try and get the rewards, that we're also doing the quests for the rewards, etc. And we, initially, we had tried to team up with them, and they weren't having it, because obviously they wanted the rewards and treasure and everything for themselves. So they didn't want to team up. However, at some point during those escapades around the town, one of them, Lady Hilda, a female, I believe she's like a fighter cleric type, she agreed to go with us and help us at one point. She was not happy with the rest of her group because they didn't want to team up. So she came to help us at one point, which was very much needed. So we knew her, and sure enough, this time, the group that we see approaching us, Lady Hilda is one of them. So we pretty much know the group. And when they show up, they were pretty hungry. I don't think they had any rations with them or whatever. So my character gave them some rations and all that. And bottom line is, we talked them into teaming up with us on this particular quest, that we were trying to still find Violet. And Violet is the daughter of Lady Harrowman, who is the noble of the area, and her daughter had been kidnapped or gone missing. And we have every reason to believe that this rag and bone dude, who had all these other children charmed or whatever, that she's also inside somewhere, that we have to find her. Well, this group, it sounds like they had the same idea. However, this time they're much more receptive to joining with us, because I guess that in the last time when we were all looking for that dragon giant lizard thing, they lost a party member in the process before our group killed it successfully. So they're much more willing to team up now, because they've had some losses. So now that we've teamed up is when we go back in, and that's when we encounter the roly-polies going around in a pattern of this, with these spores coming off and all that other stuff. And then we end up getting into the room with these mushroom people and all that. And then we end up having to have quite the battle with the mushroom dudes. It took the rest of the session, basically, to adjudicate that particular issue. So we basically, as a quick recap, we were able to go back out to rest, because we definitely needed a rest. We ended up teaming up with the other, we'll call them Team B, the NPCs, Lady Hilda's group. And then we went back in and had to basically dodge these fucking things going around. And at one point, if I remember correctly, somebody might have popped one of those, like, because it was almost like it was a bag with the pollen, and air inside of it that was rolling around hitting us. And I think at some point someone popped it, if I remember, but it released spores when you popped it and everything. But we survived all that, and then we made it into the room with the mushroom people. And that's basically the extent of the session, was getting all of that done. We have not found Violet still. We're still searching, and we have yet to be successful. So there's more to explore. But after the fight with the mushroom people, we had to rest again. That's where we ended, because we're beat up pretty bad. So we're having to extricate ourselves back out to safety, where we can rest up and heal and all that stuff. So that was the extent of the session this time. So we have the overall recap of this particular quest is we've taken care of the rag and bone dude. We've rescued some children. We were going to destroy the tower, but now that we found that there was an underground part of it, caverns type thing, or basement, whatever you want to call it, dungeon. We've got to clear this and try and find Violet before we can destroy the tower, and so forth. So that is, I believe, that gets everybody up to speed. The Dolmenwood, as we can tell, is very much nature-centric, about powers of nature, like fairies, the fae, and vegetation that provides, life-giving benefits and everything. Because when we forage, we do have the ability to try and forage and find healing herbs and so forth, to make almost like healing poultices and potions and stuff, so it's very much about a nature-centric campaign world, this Dolmenwood. So, but anyway, so that should do it for this campaign update. Trying to think. We are playing this Friday. Oh, I know. So some of you were probably expecting some video footage. I took some video footage, like I said I would, but when I watched it back, I was not happy at all with the quality of it. So I got to figure something else out. I got to figure out some other way with some better equipment or something because I don't want to just upload shit. So, anyway, I did do that, but yeah, I'm not going to post it. So, okay, guys, that will do it for this campaign update. If there are any questions, I will answer them tomorrow during our regular Beer 30, where we have a beer. We talk about the gaming news. There was a big piece of gaming news that dropped today. I will talk about tomorrow during Game 30. Game 30, Beer 30, where we talk about gaming news. So until then, guys, we'll catch you on the flip side.